Hello and welcome to the topic Paget's disease in the endocrinology module. By the end of this topic, you should be able to define Paget's disease, explain the pathophysiology of Paget's disease, outline the causes of Paget's disease, outline the classification of Paget's disease, describe the clinical manifestations of Paget's disease, outline the investigations done, discuss the principles of management, and discuss the complications and prognosis of Paget's disease. Let's get started. Paget's disease, also known as osteitis deformans, is a progressive localized bone remodeling disorder characterized by increased bone turnover. Normal lamella bone is replaced by weak woven bone, leading to localized pain and bony deformities such as bowing of the long bones and possible skull deformities. The pathophysiology of Paget's disease mainly revolves around increased bone remodeling. It is estimated to be roughly 20 times the normal rate. This elevated remodeling activity is attributed to increased RANKL rank activity, which increases NFKB signaling, ultimately promoting bone resorption by osteoclasts. Moreover, there is increased osteoblastic activity which results in the formation of disorganized woven bone. The remodeled bone is more vascular and lacks strength, causing it to be easily deformed by stress and are highly susceptible to fractures. Occasionally, the remodeled bone is enlarged. This causes entrapment neuropathies, especially when this occurs where nerves pass through bony tunnels, for example, at cranial nerve canals, skull base foramina, and the spinal canal. The most commonly affected sites are the pelvis, skull, vertebral column, long bones, and lower extremities. In roughly a third of patients, the disease is monoostotic. In the remaining two-thirds of the patients, the disease is polyostotic. The main feature of Paget's disease is localized area of hypermetabolic bone, though there are three distinct phases that the disease evolves through, followed by a quiescent stage. First, an initial short-lived lytic phase where there is marked increase in osteoclastic activity causing bone resorption. Then a mixed phase of lytic and blastic phase where there is increased levels of bone turnover. The increased osteoclastic activity is accompanied by an increase in osteoblasts, though new bone formation is with a haphazard layout of collagen fibers, which forms abnormal hypervascular woven bone. In the sclerotic phase, bone formation outweighs bone resorption, and this leads to the formation of dense sclerotic bone. Finally, in the quiescent stage, both osteoclastic and osteoblastic activity ceases. The exact etiology of Paget's disease is unknown, though several risk factors have been suggested. A family history of Paget's disease or genetic factors have been suggested, as there has been familial clusters. Infection by measles virus, respiratory syncytial virus, and canine distemper virus have been implicated in the development of Paget's disease. Environmental factors have also been hypothesized to contribute to the pathogenesis of Paget's disease. High levels of arsenic and contact with cattle or pets may be contributing factors. Paget's disease is most commonly classified according to the degree of bone involvement. Monoostotic bone involvement means that only one bone is affected, most commonly the femur. Polyostotic disease is more common and it involves more than one bone and usually affects the femur, pelvis, skull, or tibia. Otherwise, Paget's disease could also be classified according to the severity of symptoms, either asymptomatic or symptomatic. Most patients with Paget's disease are asymptomatic. Symptomatic patients may experience symptoms that range widely in terms of severity, from minimal bony discomfort to severe pain due to pathological fractures. Sometimes they may present with complications such as secondary osteoarthritis, spinal stenosis, deafness, or other nerve compression syndromes, and rarely high output cardiac failure. Again, the majority, approximately 70 to 90% of patients with Paget's disease are asymptomatic. Many are even misdiagnosed with another musculoskeletal disorder. The diagnosis is often incidental on imaging when patients are being worked up for other diagnoses and further clarified on lab results. Symptoms that are commonly reported include bone pain associated with erythema and temperature on skin surrounding of the affected bones, problems with chewing or loose teeth, facial changes, symptoms of cranial nerve deficits, impaired hearing, and headaches. Clinical signs of Paget's disease include pathological fractures such as chalk stick fractures of long bones, bony deformities such as saber shins, skull involvement such as skull enlargement, frontal bossing, prognatism, and leonine facies, neurological deficits such as cranial nerve deficits and impaired hearing, and some may present with cauda equina syndrome or nerve root compression. Moving on, the first investigations to order include plain X-rays, total serum alkaline phosphatase, bone-specific alkaline phosphatase, serum calcium, serum procollagen, serum C-terminal propeptide of type 1 collagen, liver function tests, and serum 25-hydroxy vitamin D. Lab tests done in Paget's disease include blood works and urine analysis. Blood works typically reveal normal calcium phosphate and parathyroid levels. A secondary increase in parathyroid levels is observed in a subset of patients due to increased calcium demand from elevated bone turnover. On the other hand, hypercalcemia and hypercalciuria may develop as a result of immobilization. Serum ALP, a marker of osteoblastic activity, may be normal or elevated. Bone-specific ALP is a more sensitive blood test for diagnosis and can be used as an index for treatment response. Urine analysis may unveil increased markers of collagen degradation as a result of osteoclastic degradation of hydroxypyridinium crosslinks in type 1 collagen of bone tissues. These include deoxypyridinoline, N-telopeptide, C-telopeptide, and hydroxyproline. ALP is utilized to track response to therapy, and bone-specific ALP can be used if available. In localized disease and normal ALP, serum procollagen or serum C-terminal propeptide of 1 collagen may be useful in measuring bone turnover. These markers are measured 6 months after treatment and subsequently annually or biannually or until symptoms reappear or increase. On plain X-ray, in the early stages, it will show mostly lytic changes common in the skull, advancing V-shaped lesions in long bones, and incomplete fractures. In its later stage of disease, a sclerotic picture dominates. Besides that, there may be thickened cortical bone with coarsened trabecular expansion or enlargement of a region of a bone. On skull X-ray, there may be thickening on the diplo and osteoporosis circumscripta, which results in a cotton wool appearance. Vertebral X-ray may reveal thickening of the upper and lower plates of the vertebral body, leading to a picture frame appearance and diffuse enlargement of the vertebrae seen as ivory vertebrae. Pelvic X-ray may show disruption or fusion of sacroiliac joints and Brim's sign due to thickening of the iliopectineal line. Bone scans or skeletal scintigraphy can be done to test for additional bony lesion as active Pagetic foci exhibit increased uptake of 99 technetium due to their increased vascularity. Additional imaging modalities to consider are CT scans and MRI. A pagetoid bone appear capacious and disorganized here. Bone biopsies are the most sensitive and specific test for diagnosis. Biopsies reveal presence of osteoclasts with multiple nucleic white canaliculi with disorganized matrix in bone and a mosaic pattern of poorly organized lamella bone. Bone scintigraphy should be done at baseline to determine the extent of bone involvement and later on as disease monitoring. Technetium scans are most commonly used as a screening tool to identify additional asymptomatic areas of bony involvement. These may show as areas of dense uptake in pagetoid bone. Though it may identify areas involved and pick up non-asymptomatic regions in the initial osteolytic stage, it may be negative due to low uptake of isotope. Treatment is mainly focusing on halting excessive osteoclastic activity, hence reducing bone turnover and allowing for normalization of bone formation. Treatment is also mainly indicated for symptomatic patients and patients with high risk of developing complications. By aiming to normalize metabolic activity to normal, subsequent treatment is based on controlling symptoms and bringing non-specific markers back to normal parameters. First-line drugs used in Paget's disease are bisphosphonates, which induces apoptosis of osteoclasts. Examples of oral bisphosphonates are alendronate and risedronate. Frequent use of high-dose bisphosphonates are associated with gastrointestinal side effects and should be used in caution when patients have a history of gastroesophageal reflux disease. Intravenous bisphosphonates include zoledronate and pamidronate. Second-line drugs are calcitonin, which are less effective as compared to bisphosphonates and are indicated in bisphosphonate intolerance or when bisphosphonate are contraindicated. It is administered via a subcutaneous injection and has been shown to partially heal lytic lesion in Paget's disease but rarely normalizes bone turnover. Adverse effects commonly reported are facial flushing, nausea, and tachyphylaxis. Supportive drugs include vitamin D3, also known as cholecalciferol, calcium, and NSAIDs. Calcium and vitamin D levels should be normalized prior to treatment as to prevent hypocalcemia, while NSAIDs are prescribed for pain management. Surgical management is only indicated when there is bone deformity and pathological fractures, which then require reduction and fixation, especially for femoral fractures. Total hip arthroplasty can be done for hip end-stage osteoarthritis, and laminectomy is to be done for spinal stenosis. Patients should be educated about high-risk activities and physiotherapy to promote range of motion, muscular strength, and ambulatory skills. When long bone deformities occur, orthosis can be included as part of the therapy, including training to use walking aids. Hearing aids are also recommended at an early stage due to the progressive nature of the disease. Let's take a look at the complications of Paget's disease. The complications include exacerbation of localized pain when initiating therapy, pathological fractures, development of hydrocephalus, kidney stones, esophagitis associated with bisphosphonate use, excessive bleeding and heterotropic ossification. Additionally, there may be progressive hearing loss or tinnitus, spinal stenosis, and osteoarthritis. Rarely, in less than 1% of cases, there is malignant transformation into osteosarcoma or high output cardiac failure that is very rare, but usually associated with high disease activity and extensive skeletal involvement. Prognosis is generally good, but this varies between individuals. Treatment is able to control disease and may induce remission for a period of time. However, this is not curative and disease may become active again. A good prognostic factor is being treated before any significant complications develop. On the flip side, a bad prognostic factor is when osteosarcoma develops. Now, let's summarize. Paget's disease is characterized by increased bone turnover and replacement of normal bone by a weaker bone. Paget's disease is a chronic bone remodeling disorder. A high rate of bone remodeling is driven by excessive osteoclast and osteoblast activity, resulting in the formation of disorganized woven bone that is weaker than a normal bone. The exact etiology is unknown, but genetics, infection, and environmental factors have been hypothesized. Most patients are asymptomatic, but the most common complaint is bone pain or discomfort in the affected area. Some may present with pathological fractures and other complications due to disease progression. Diagnosis is often incidental on imaging, on patients being worked up for other diagnoses. The definitive diagnosis is clarified with matching findings on plain film and lab results. You can consider Paget's disease in older patients with elevated ALP but normal GGT levels. And the main aim of medical therapy is to suppress osteoclastic activity to halt disease progression and complications. Surgery is only indicated where there are pathological fractures or bone deformities. We have come to the end of this topic. Thank you.